All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to our live feed here. And I'm realizing that my colors are off. Hold on, I'm changing it while I'm waiting for you guys. Say hello when you log on. There we go. That's better. Tell me where you're chatting in from, where you're joining us from. Those of you that have joined us here before, you know I always wait a few minutes for everybody to get logged on and get settled in, the notifications to go out so everybody knows that we are live. So while you're sitting there waiting, say hello. We always wait about 3 minutes or so. And while we're waiting too, I'm going to throw QR code up in the corner here for our free newsletter. Go ahead and scan that. That gets you on our newsletter, and we send out once a month wrap-ups of everything that we've done over the month as far as like wrap-ups, podcasts, what we got going on for the industry, all those kinds of things. We got Charlotte in the house. So if you're not on our free newsletter, please do sign up for that right now. All right, everybody's getting on now. I'm seeing the numbers climb up, those eyeballs coming in. We got a lot to do today. We got Cancun. All right, nice. Wish I was in Cancun. Good for you. Hi from Canada. And I'm going to put something else up on the screen here in a second while we're waiting. Like I said, we always wait about 3 minutes or so for everybody to get logged on. So I don't know if I can stick this in as a QR code. I don't think I can. I want to put something else up on the screen here. We got Vegas. What's up? I'm right down the street. From Florida. Yeah, this is a crazy, crazy lineup for Pittsburgh. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Just wait till we get into this. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of things while we're getting everybody logged on here. I'm going to show this real quick. Okay, so this is my Instagram for my business, for Stage Ready by Sean. The reason I'm putting this up here right now is because I'm going to do a giveaway. So if those of you that follow me on Instagram on my main like personal page, I talked about a little travel kit from show day kit from Liquid Sunrays. So I have one sitting right here. This right here. I'm going to give it away. Inside this is everything you could possibly need for your show day backstage stuff, right? So I've got some of the stuff sitting here. I've got tissues, feminine wipes. We've got eyelash glue. We've got safety pins. We've got a compact mirror. We've got eye patches. We've got feminine panty liners. We got mouthwash and like dental floss. I mean, literally anything you could possibly need. There's mints here. There's tissues. Anything you could need. There's scissors. I mean, everything you could possibly need. So if you want to win this, it's pretty simple. All I need you to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel right here, which is Stage Ready by Sean, also on my IG. Follow my IG. Okay, so you got to follow the Stage Ready by Sean. You got to also subscribe to my YouTube channel. When you do that, screenshot showing that you've done that and DM me on Stage Ready by Sean. Okay, so DM me that you follow both of those pages, and that's all you got to do to enter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull somebody from the people that actually do that. So real simple. If you want a kit from Liquid Sunrays right here for backstage, follow my Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube right here. If you're already subscribed, that's okay. Just screenshot and show me that you've actually subscribed to my channel. That's all you got to do. Same thing with the Instagram too. Just show me that you're actually on and following my Instagram. Cool. All right, we're going to do that. I am going to hide this now because we're going to get into our show reviews. Now, I know we're a little bit behind as far as the week is concerned for reviewing the last couple of shows, but I did want to do this because a lot of the girls that are going into Pittsburgh were in these shows. So we're going to kind of do a 2-for-1. We're going to go ahead and we're going to review Wasash and Girl Power. And then we are going to go right into the preview for Pittsburgh, which, yes, as people have already said, it is a ridiculously deep lineup for Pittsburgh Bikini. I don't know if I've ever seen a lineup like this before at a regular show outside of the Olympia. I mean, even the Arnold. I mean, because the Arnold's invite only. This is you have to actually prep for this and sign up for the show. So this is pretty ridiculous as far as this lineup is concerned. I will be there in person. I don't think that I can live stream because they have a live stream there. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to live stream. But we are going to do a behind the bikini there with Jordan in person because she's there and she's competing. We are going to do some training footage as well. So it's going to be a lot of YouTube stuff for you guys. It just might not be live streaming. I'm going to ask if I can do it and just have my face to the camera, but usually they don't allow that. So totally fine with that. Totally understand that. You guys want to get the live stream anyway. Even if you're going to listen to me, you still want to get the live stream anyway because you're going to want to see the results and all that kind of stuff too. So before we get into too much more about Pittsburgh, we are going to review these last couple of shows here that are, and I know we had a European show this past weekend too, where Lisa won that, but we're not going to go into those ones because those girls are not competing in Pittsburgh. So I have a handful of girls that are competing in Pittsburgh that competed the last couple of weeks. So here we go. All right. First thing that we're going to do is we are going to go through Wasash. So we're going to go through these girls real quickly, the top 5, because we're going to see some of them in Pittsburgh again, like I said. So we're going to kind of talk about them. Emmy did win this one. So this is her second win, her second pro show win. We're just going to go through the ladies real fast here and show you a little bit about each one of them. So we've got Tayiana. I always want to call her Tayiana. I know that's wrong. Tayiana. So this was one we talked about. She is really young as far as Bikini Pro is concerned. So coming into this show and taking 5th was really good for her. This is her first show out this season. So let's get a front shot for her. And of course, this is interactive. So if you guys want to put in your 2 cents, ask questions, feel free. That's what this is all about. So let's take a look at her front pose right here. Okay, so again, super cute girl. This is one of these girls that is not overly muscular. You know, this is something when we talk about this sometimes with just various divisions, but bikini specifically, you don't have to be overly muscular. You just have to have the right shape and proportions. And she definitely does here. So she's put on a little bit of size since last year. I think it looks really good on her. In general, I don't think there's a whole lot I would have done differently with this pose for her front pose. Front toe looks good. Waistline's tight. This is something that I'm seeing a lot more of, and I'm not sure I really like it, is this back arm right here. I probably would have softened that up a little bit. This to me just looks too hard. It's too much of an angle. I want to see that kind of relax a little bit and not look quite so forced. I'm seeing a lot of girls do this now, and I just don't like this particular look personally. Obviously, it's working for some girls, so they must like it, but I just don't. I just think it's getting too close to the figure angle there versus bikini. But other than that, there's not a whole lot I would change here. I think she's really well balanced. Really pretty look, really, again, very polished top to bottom. So even the suit color, suit cut, all of it looks really good on her. So there's not a lot I would change there other than that back arm. Let's get a back shot. All right, here we go. So as I said before, she's not an overly muscular girl, but this is where I think she probably needs to add a little bit more size, and that's in the glutes. She just needs some more density. Shape is great. But when I look at this, I see just kind of like, and okay, this stage is also the lighting is very hard. So it's blurring some of the lines and stuff like that too. But I see just glutes and legs. Like I'd like to see the glutes pop out a little bit more here. I think her hamstrings are good. I think her conditioning is good. I just think she needs more density. I think she needs more muscle tissue in the back, specifically in the glutes. I think the legs are okay. I think she just needs to grow the glutes a little bit more. I'd also like to see her stand up a little taller. I know she has a shorter torso, but I feel like she's really arching and that's kind of squishing her a little bit here. So standing up a little taller, I think might be a better solution. It may not be. I mean, I'd want to see it before I made that determination. This might be the right size set for her as far as the pose is concerned. But I just feel like she's kind of shortening her upper body a little bit by doing this. So I would just change a few things with this back pose, but mostly I would just work on trying to get a little bit more projection and size to those glutes, so that she has a little bit more distinction between her glutes and her legs. Next, we have Payton. So Payton came in 4th. Let's find a front shot for her. Another really pretty girl. We did talk about her a little bit going into the show too. So here is a front shot for her. So she has a bit more size on her, as you can tell. Like the difference between her and Tayiana, I hope that's right, is the muscle density. You can clearly see Payton is a lot more dense. She has bigger shoulder caps, all of that. So this is where the shape and the muscle density is determined per person, not necessarily by a criteria. Does that make sense? The criteria fits the girl, if that makes sense. So this is where a lot of girls get into trouble. They chase feedback and they chase looks of other people when they actually look better a certain way. So with Payton, I think she's actually got a little bit too much density, specifically in her legs, like her quads and everything. Shoulders, again, I think the shoulders need to come down a little bit as well. Great shape overall, but I think just density wise, she's just a little bit pushing the boundaries here. I think she's a little bit too much. We're seeing the really tight calves too. So again, conditioning and balance and density just needs to come down just a touch. I think she's a little bit over the line here. Again, beautiful look top to bottom. She's just pushing it on the muscularity as far as that's concerned. And we'll get to a back shot here. Okay, so here's a back shot. So same thing as I said before. I like her upper body here. As far as her pose on her upper body, she is a little bit slanted to the right side, so she needs to work on pulling that right shoulder up to match the left. But you can see the conditioning here is very, very tight. She's got those really tight hamstring tie-ins there in the back, those sharp diamonds. So again, going back to, she needs to pull the conditioning down a little bit, and she needs to grow the glutes. So the glutes from the back, her legs are overpowering her glutes. So I think some of this could honestly be solved just by filling out a little bit more. She's just a little bit too tight, a little bit too conditioned here. If she was to fill out a touch more, I think that would help her glutes pop a bit more. But at the same time, I do still think her legs are too big for her glutes. I think she needs to pull the upper glute out a little bit more, meaning she needs to grow a little bit more upper glute, more projection, and she needs to bring the quads down in order to put that lower half of her body in balance. We saw it from the front, and now we're seeing it from the back as well. She's just a little bit over the line with that conditioning and density, but she needs more shape to her. Okay. So kind of Tayiana and her kind of have opposite problems, right? If they could just swap the density and the shape, they would be right down the middle for both of them, right? Next up, we have Jordan. So Jordan came in third in this show. She was on Behind the Bikini with us and kind of talked about how she felt going into both of these shows. So if you excuse me, if you've not seen the last Behind the Bikini episode that came out this past week, please go watch that. You'll get a little bit better of an idea. This is a really difficult photo for me to to look at just because of the lighting, right? So one of the things I've mentioned, I said the same thing the last show, is I just like to see a little bit more shoulder from her versus arm. To me, the shoulder just needs to pop out a little bit more. I think this conditioning is pretty good. I don't see any issue with it being too hard or too soft here. I think just in general, this is a better package than what we saw from Charlotte. And I think for me, the only thing I would change here is I would probably just try to get those shoulders to be differentiated from her arms just a little bit more. Shape, as far as the waistline, everything is super tight, tiny, all of that looks great. And again, I think her conditioning is very good here too. I think she's got really good floor shape in her frame. Let's take a look at the back shot. Well, we're going to get her around to the back. Let's see. All right. So I believe this is her old suit that she went back to. She did not wear the same suit that she wore in Charlotte, which I agree with that call. I think, I can't really tell. This might be a little bit green, but regardless of which suit it was, she wore it better here than she wore it in Charlotte. In Charlotte, the suit was up and over her tailbone a little bit too high. This is sitting on her a lot better. So I don't know if it's a different suit or the same suit, but she's just got it sitting on her lower half a little bit better. I don't know if there's a whole lot I would change with this pose. I think the pose is right on. Again, want to see more delts. I just want to see more shoulder pop. Other than that, I think her conditioning is right where it should be. She's got good projection. I did notice when I saw her next to the other girls that she did look more muscular than the other girls. So she probably does need to be careful about that and bring that down just a little bit, specifically in the legs. I would say keep the glutes where they are and just try to keep those legs in check. And then I would say get some more delt pop on the outside of that, at the top of her shoulders. And then she's right smack dab in there. So I'm curious to see what she does for Pittsburgh, because she's going to Pittsburgh too. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do think this look was a little bit better than Charlotte. I think the conditioning, like I said, I think the conditioning is right on. I think she just needs to do a little bit of shaping with her legs and with her shoulders. And next we have Briana. So we did preview her as well, saying she could be a potential top spot here. Need a front pose. Need a front pose. Give me a front pose. Lots of pictures to choose from, which is nice. Okay. All right. So the only thing that I'm looking at here that would be a negative, she's got some pretty significant vascularity in her upper body through her biceps and her shoulders and all that kind of stuff. I think the conditioning is just a touch too hard when we're looking at her quads and things like that. Midsection looks great. Midsection is right where it should be for conditioning, all of that. But when we're talking about her quads and her upper body, I do think she's a little bit over the line when it comes to the conditioning here. Of course, this could also be the lighting. I could be wrong, because the lighting here in this Wasash show is very hard. You can see all the shadows and things like that. So it's actually it's that what we call anabolic lighting that makes you look harder and bigger than you actually are. That's what we're getting right here. So it could be that if she was in a different show, she'd be fine. But this is just kind of highlighting the fact that she's got some significant density here. Let's find a back shot. Okay. Okay. So from the back, I think her conditioning looks great. I think that from the front, she might be a touch too hard. From the back, I think she's right on. Shoulder caps look great. Pose looks great. I'd still like to see, again, more differentiation between her legs and her glutes. I think she needs more size to her glutes. She doesn't have that upper outer pop to her glutes. She has some really good projection out at us, but I need some more upper outer in order to balance with her legs. Her legs aren't too big. I think her glutes are too small, right? I think what I would do if I was her is I would keep the legs right where they are and just continue to work on building up the glutes and getting some more roundness, some more fullness, some more upper outer glute more than anything else here. Because I think her tie-in and her projection is fantastic. I think it's just the upper outer that we're missing. And then we have Emmy, who is on a bit of a roll here. She came very close to qualifying for the Olympia several times last year. This year, this is her second pro win. So when we look at this, you know, the biggest thing is I feel like she's that happy medium. Like we talked about how Tayiana needed a little bit more conditioning, and then who was it? Payton was a little bit over the line. I see Emmy as being right down the middle with both of them, right? We're nice and round and full. There's no significant like density issues here. She's got a teeny tiny little bit of vascularity in her upper body, but it's almost non-existent. Waistline super tight. This is the roundness and fullness that we're talking about, right? She's got some good muscle, but she's not too hard. And she's not too soft either. Again, that you know, the three bears kind of scenario. She's right down the middle. I think it's a fantastic front pose. I think she nailed this right here. Let's go to a back shot. Let's go next page. We're not quite settled in those back shots yet, so we'll go to the next page. All right, here we go. Okay, and this is what we're talking about with balance between glutes and legs, right? So when I look at this, I see some nice delts out on upper outer. I'm seeing some nice upper outer glutes. I'm seeing some nice projection here. Her glutes are not overpowering her legs. Her legs are not overpowering her glutes, right? We're seeing a really good balance here. And she's really just kind of standing there too. That's the thing. She's not overposing this. She's standing up tall so she can show that length. Like I mentioned with Tayiana, looked like she was overarching, over pushing, and kind of shrinking her whole body down. I don't see that here from Emmy. I think this is actually like she's basically just barely standing there, right? She could fix a little bit of an imbalance there with her left elbow coming out to the side a little bit too much, but that's really probably from her front pose, and almost everybody has some sort of a imbalance there. But if she could fix that just bring the left elbow in a little bit, that would completely balance her from top to bottom. So I don't think she can get much better than this in this scenario. Maybe a touch too hard through that hamstring tie-in. Excuse me, but it's really negligible there. It's still pretty soft. It's not hard diamonds there. But like I said, if I was going to give her any kind of critique here, I'd say probably just try to soften that up just a touch in there, so it's not quite so defined through the hamstring tie-in. But you can't really argue much more here. Maybe a little bit more upper outer glute as she goes in and kind of gets into the Olympia. So again, we have a little bit more separation between the glutes and the legs. But as far as I'm concerned for this show, I think she was for sure the best choice, best overall top to bottom package. So as I'm pulling up the next show, any closing comments that you guys have on Wasash? We're going to do girl power next. All right. So for girl power, in 5th place, Aaria. Sorry, probably butchering that name. Sorry, I'm not even trying the last name. just is what it is right there. Good for you, girl. I just can't pronounce your name. Let's take a look here. I feel like this was one of her first shows as a pro. Am I wrong? Let me see. Okay, no, she competed in Charlotte. Okay. Yeah, so this must be like her second pro show or so she's relatively new on the scene. Let's get that up. So the first thing that stands out to me is the hair. I would 100% fix the hair and makeup here. It's just kind of blah. So yeah, hair and makeup matters when you get this far up in the ranks. Get the hair off the shoulders too. We don't want to cover up the upper body like that. She's got really good balance from top to bottom, but what is actually throwing me off from this front pose is the hair. The hair is throwing me off. So just be really mindful of those kinds of things. It looks a little bit, and we're going to see this as we go into the back pose, but it looks a little bit like crimpy on the top. I don't know, but it's kind of distracting. So I would like to see her open up her front pose a little bit more. The hand on her hip is a little too low. I'd like to see that come up a little higher. And that would help balance her. She's got really good shape and conditioning. I just think that she needs to work on the pose just a touch. Let's get a back pose. Okay, here's a back shot. Yeah, hair looks limp. It does. Okay. So yeah, even from the back, the hair is a little bit messy up at the top, right? So it just looks like she just needs to brush it out or something. And again, pose is not bad, but I just like to see her open up a little bit more. It just looks like she's kind of crunched in a little bit. I just like to see her open up the shoulders and the back just a touch, not a lot, just a touch. She does have a bit of an imbalance in her glutes. You can see her left glute and leg is bigger than her right. So I would work on that. I would like to see a little bit better conditioning here as well. I think she's a little bit too soft. Now, the lighting here at Girl Power is much, much different than the lighting that we saw at Wasash. So we can't compare the two shows, right? I would like to see her a touch tighter in the back, and I'd like to see bigger glutes too. Again, just more development, more size in general. I think her upper body's good. I would not touch her upper body. I'd keep it right where it is and just pose a little bit better. But I think her lower body, she needs some more size. Specifically just density in general, but specifically the glutes, and just polish up the presentation, the posing, the hair and makeup, all that. Just add some more polish to it overall. Okay, we have Lexus up next. So this is her first time back in what, almost 2 years, something like that. Here's the front pose. And Lexus always has had a great shape, always. Beautiful look on stage, beautiful presence, all of that, which I agree with here. But where she lacks, and where she still lacks, is density in the lower half. So when we're looking at this, she clearly has the density up top, which for most women, that's really easy to get, or not easy. Don't quote me as easy, but in comparison to getting the density in the lower half, usually the upper half density is easier to get for a woman, right? So I like this suit. I like the overall look. I like the overall vibe that we have here, but we just need some more actual density in the legs and in the glutes here in the front pose. I don't think I would change anything about the front pose itself. I would just work on density in the lower half. And here's a back shot. And again, same thing from the back. I mean, this shape is ridiculously good, right? She's got that tiny waistline from the back. Shoulder caps look great, but she just needs more density in the glutes and in the legs, just in general. Like, this shape is literally to die for, right? Now, also, notice her suit bottoms are a little bit more coverage than a lot of people, which I like. Some people are getting these super teeny tiny little coverages, and when that happens, we actually see the pelvic bone in the back, right? So she's covering that up, which makes her look rounder and fuller from the back. So I actually really like that aspect. Everything about this pose, I love the pose. I love the overall look of it. She just needs more density in the glutes and legs. That's it. If we can get some more pop there, some more actual muscle tissue filling that frame out, she's going to be really, really hard to beat. But she just needs to grow more. And then we have Ariel. So this to me, I did not like her front pose. I'm just going to be honest. I've been critical of her front pose in the past, and it hasn't really changed. And my critiques haven't really changed either. She has a phenomenal stage presence. She's a beautiful girl, but this pose to me is just off. She's pushing her pelvis forward instead of back, and it's just throwing the whole shape off for me. The V shape of her hair helps accentuate your tiny waist. You're talking about Lexus, and I agree with you. Yes, I agree with it, with the shape of her hair for sure. So for Ariel, I don't know. I don't know if anybody has given her the critique on her posing before or not. I know I've said it before, but to me, it's almost like her hips are pushed forward. So we're seeing this really wide upper body, and then she's almost diminishing her lower half. So I'd just like to see her tilt that lower back and fix this pose. I think that would make a world of difference in this front pose. I also think her conditioning is a little bit soft. She looks almost a little flat to me, like she's depleted and not really filled out. So I would like to see a little bit more fullness to her, a little bit more pop to her. It just looks like, it just looks like she didn't fully fill out here. She's in shape. She just didn't fully fill out. So here's her back pose. She's kind of moving through most of these. So here's one I think that she's solid. And I'm just going to be honest with you too. I'm going to critique the pose on this back pose too. So to me, she's bending over. I think her heel height is too high, maybe. Looks like she's got 5-inch heels, and she looks like she's almost got all of her weight up on her toes, and her upper body is pushing forward. And that actually flattens her glutes and everything from the back. She looks, again, going back to the same thing that I said from the front, she looks depleted and flat back here. So I'd like to see her stand up a little taller. Her hair is covering her shoulders here, which that comment was just made about Lexus's hair not covering her shoulders, which that Ariel could take some tips from for that, because this does kind of muddy her shape up at the top. But really, I just want to see her stand up tall, bend the knees just a touch so that we get the same pop of the hamstrings, everything. Like she's in shape. You can see she's got those tight diamonds in her hamstrings, but she's not filled out. She's depleted, right? So I don't know what happened. Maybe it was a peaking thing. Maybe she was pushing to try to get into the show, and she just was trying to drop the last couple of pounds. I'm not really sure. But I think her physique would look a hell of a lot better if she made some minor posing changes and just filled out. So that's my critiques on her. I'm not a huge fan of this pink suit, but this could also just be the lighting of this particular photo. It could have looked great in person. You know, the photo's a little bit washed out, so it could be just the lighting. But I'd like to see a darker color suit on her too. And then we have Alice, who I think was pretty close at the show, but there's some things that she could fix. So I saw her do this a lot in her posing. She was winging that arm way out. I'm not sure exactly what that was. I don't think she was supposed to do that. Actually, I know for a fact she wasn't supposed to do that. So I'd just like to see her relax that arm in this front pose. She looks really, really profiled to me. She needs to come a little bit more straight on with her upper body to really accentuate that small waist that she has. The fact that she's turned so far to the side, it actually diminishes her shape. And it looks like what she's trying to do, she's trying to yank with her arm versus twisting through the torso. So she's doing, I have this happen with a lot of my posing clients where they think that by yanking with the arm, they're pulling around to the front, and they're actually not. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like she's trying to do it, but she's just executing it the wrong way. So as far as her conditioning, I think her conditioning's on point. I think that we would get a much better look of her overall balance if she was able to hit this upper part of her front pose a little bit better. Not a fan of the green. Something about this whole look, as far as her green suit, the tan, the hair, just kind of all blended together and looked a little bit green all over. So I'd like to see a little bit more pop to her in general. But most of this, I believe, could have been fixed just with her front pose being tweaked a little bit. And again, I know this is something that she has been struggling with. So I expect to see her try to fix that the next time she's on stage, really. And then once we look from the back, again, she's another one with phenomenal shape. Hair looks good as far as the shape is concerned, because she's not blocking her shoulders or anything like that, like we were just talking about with Ariel. Glutes look great. I think she just needs more of them, needs more density, like we were talking about with the other girls. I think she just needs a little bit more depth to the glutes. Once she gets that, and I think also fixes the upper body pose a little bit, just opens up a little bit more, gets those delts to pop, she's going to have ridiculous she already has ridiculous ratios, but she's going to have even more ridiculous ratios. And again, going to be very hard to beat. Kind of like we were talking about with Lexus, same thing here. If she can just fix a few of these little tweaks, her shape is ridiculous, and it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be really, really hard to beat her. So she's got very long limbs and things like that. So what she needs to do is she just needs to kind of fill that out with a little bit more tissue, a little bit more density, and everything's going to pop a little bit more. I do think she could benefit from a little bit longer hair, because her back is just not broad as much as Lexus's is. So I think they're going to do that too. I think they mentioned they're going to actually change up her hair look a little bit for Pittsburgh. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But overall, it's just little things for her. If she can get those fixed, like her poses, her suit, overall presentation stuff, she's going to win another show, no problem. She almost won this one. So. And lastly, we have Ariana, which I do believe this was Ariana's best look that I saw from her so far this year. She is a bit on the bigger side when it comes to structure and things like that. So she's put together very, very well, but she has a lot more muscle than some of these other girls do. Waistline's tight. I'd like to see her tilt the pelvis a little bit more in that lower half. I do think she could be a touch tighter in the lower half. Upper half looks great. Wouldn't really change much about that except for watch this tilting. She's tilting a little bit to the front here, so stand up nice and tall so we don't get any kind of folds and wrinkles and stuff in the waistline either. Again, beautiful girl, beautiful overall look. I think she's twisting just a touch too hard in that front pose, and that's why she's tilting a touch. So she just needs to relax that a little bit and bring that shoulder up a little higher so she can balance that out right here. But it does look like she's pretty sideways with her toe as well. And I think they're doing that on purpose to try to whittle down her waist and get that glute to pop. But in the process, it's, again, making her tilt just a touch. So overall, not bad. I would just kind of tweak this front pose a little bit. Untwist her a touch. And then from the back, again, same critiques I've been giving her all year so far. Phenomenal look, phenomenal shape. She just needs to be a touch tighter. This is the tightest she's been all year. Back pose is probably the best I've seen it look all year. She's got ridiculous glutes here. I mean, this shape is, we've talked about before, this is a Olympia winning look as far as her shape is concerned. She just needs to get a touch tighter, just a little bit more to really get those glutes to pop. In this particular lineup, I do think, to me, she was a clear standout for the win. But when she gets into these bigger lineups, like we're going to see in Pittsburgh, all these little teeny tiny details make a huge difference. So if she can come in a little bit tighter, just like a pound tighter in Pittsburgh, she could absolutely be somebody that we're talking about as far as being in the, top 2, top 3 kind of thing. So again, watch, she's tilting a little bit. So that's another thing. She's got to fix that little imbalance there as well. So she's up nice and tall and straight across. But overall, very, very good look. This is the best look I've seen from her all year. When she gets into this next show, this next week, just needs to come in a touch tighter. So before I move over to Pittsburgh, which is what y'all are here for, any closing thoughts on girl power? So as we're sitting here, guys, if you are just joining us, I am doing a giveaway for Liquid Sunrays Backstage Show Day bag, this right here. So if you missed it at the beginning, in order to get this show day bag, this goodie bag, all you got to do is subscribe to my YouTube and follow my Instagram, which is my Stage Ready by Sean Instagram. DM me on Stage Ready by Sean, showing me that you follow and subscribed, and then you are entered in, and then I will pick a random winner that's going to win this little backstage bag from Liquid Sunrays. Again, it includes everything you could possibly need for backstage emergencies. You want to have one of these right here. Okay. No, I liked Ari's hair. I don't think there's anything wrong with her hair. I wouldn't change it. I liked Ari's hair. Okie doke. Well, here we go. I'm only going to preview bikini here for Pittsburgh because it's huge. As you can see, all the tabs open across the top of my screen there. This lineup is ridiculous, you guys. This lineup is absolutely ridiculous, insane. I am going to be there for both Saturday and Sunday. Probably just going to go to the finals for the men on Saturday and then go to the full day on Sunday because I've got some NPC competitors. Plus, I clearly want to watch the pros. They do have a live stream, so I likely will not be able to live stream because they do have a paid for live stream there. If by chance they allow me to go live, I will let you guys know, but probably not. So what I'll do is once we finish up with prejudging, I will jump on when we get out of the show. I'll jump on live here and kind of give you my 2 cents and my thoughts of what I saw in prejudging. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we see in person versus maybe what you guys saw on the live stream. But this is literally like a mini Olympia. Okay. This is ridiculously deep. I don't know if I've ever seen a Pittsburgh Pro show this deep before. I mean, we're literally talking about, look at the tabs up at the top of my screen. Look at the tabs up at the top of my screen. That's how many people I've pulled out as far as ones that we need to be watching. Right. And I probably missed some. So, if you look down this list, we are talking about the top Olympians, top 5, top 10. We even have a previous Miss Olympia in this lineup. So this is going to be a ridiculously deep show and ridiculously tough. And there's some girls here who have not competed yet or have not really made a mark who could potentially come out and just kind of shock some people here too. So as I go through these names, go ahead and type in, tell me who you are watching. Tell me who you think has a potential of winning this or that you want to. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that you think is going to, but somebody that you're rooting for, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go through this name by name as far as the ones that I've pulled out to be paying attention to. And then, like I said, type into the comments your thoughts. So first up, we have Maria. I mean, clearly Maria has been killing it recently, top 10 at the Olympia. She won Charlotte here. She is qualified for the Olympia. She was top 4 at the Arnold. I mean, she is just killing it, right? She is just killing it. So she is definitely one to be paying attention to, and I expect to see her in the mix somewhere in the top 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing. It's going to be. I would be shocked if she wasn't, right? So. Yeah, this is like a mini Olympia right here. This is like a little mini Olympia. So I do expect to see Maria up in the top. So be paying attention to her for sure. Next, we have Yulia. Yulia is qualified for the Olympia this coming year. She just won Daytona. So she's not been on stage since September, which means she could have made some significant improvements. Her critique is usually that her conditioning is too hard. So I'll be interested to see what her conditioning looks like at this particular show. Last year in Pittsburgh, her conditioning was too hard in Pittsburgh. So let's see if she comes in a little bit softer. If she does, then you could see her moving up in the ranks as well. She's definitely one to be paying attention. Again, another one that is already qualified for this year's Olympia. Maureen Blanquisco, Miss Olympia from 2 years ago. So she has not been on stage in a while. She missed the Olympia this year because of injury, all of that. So for me, she's your front runner. If you've won the Miss Bikini Olympia title going into a normal, regular pro show, you are the front runner. But she has not been on stage since 2023. So it's been a while. Right? So she could come back looking phenomenal, or she could come back totally off the mark. From the previews that I've seen of her, I think she's going to be spot on. I think she's going to be incredibly difficult to beat. I think she is your front runner here going into this show. So Maureen is up for me. Then we have Jordan. So again, another one that's already qualified for this year's Olympia. We just talked about her with Wasash. Coming to the show, wanted to get good feedback so that she can bring her best to the Olympia this year, because her goal is to get into the top 10 this coming year. So be watching for improvements from her. I do think she got better at Wasash over Charlotte, so I expect her to get better in Pittsburgh over Wasash as well. We'll talk to her, on Saturday for Behind the Bikini, kind of get her thoughts and her feelings. And go through from there, but she's definitely want to be paying attention to as well. She's never outside of the first call out in regular pro shows. So then we have Ari, which we just talked about. So last year, Ari did compete in this show too. And she did not do well this last year because she was definitely under conditioned. As I just said about girl power, if she comes in shape in this particular show and comes in tight, she could very well be in the top call out in the top 4. She's been in the top 10 at the Olympia already, and then she narrowly missed it this past year. Just, again, conditioning things. So if she can get that conditioning on point, guys, she's going to be one to be watching out for. And, again, I think she's one that could potentially win an Olympia title one day. So we could see her potentially next to Maureen, which would be interesting because Ari is like the biggest competitor in this lineup, and Maureen is like one of the smallest. So it should be interesting to see that matchup if that happens. Then we have Amy. Okay, so Amy is not currently is she qualified? She placed. What's she placed at the Olympia? I don't want to speak out of. No, she did qualify, right? Nope, she's not. She's not qualified. She placed 4th. She placed 4th at the Olympia, so she's not currently qualified for the Olympia. But she has won Pittsburgh the last 2 years, so she's coming in to try to win that title back. Well, keep it, not win it back. Keep it, right? I expect her to come in swinging, right? She was just at the Arnold. I personally had her winning at the Arnold. She didn't win. She's that underdog right now. I think she's coming back with a vengeance right now, wanting to take over that title. So if I was a betting woman, I think it's going to come down to her and Maureen, potentially Aaria on the outside of that too. But I think she's going to be gunning for that win. I think she really wants this show. And I think she's going to bring everything she possibly can to this stage to get that. Then we have Evie, who just won out in FIBO, and so she is Olympia qualified again. She tends to be a little bit too hard when it comes to conditioning whenever she comes here to the States and gets into these big shows like this. She can potentially get into the top 10 at bigger shows, but I don't see her getting into the winning position. That said, if she comes in a little bit softer, a little bit fuller, a little bit rounder, again, beautiful look. So she could be a top 5er, that kind of thing. If I was a betting woman, I would say she's probably going to be outside the top 5, but she's a qualified Olympian. So, we could see that happen for sure. I have Ashley in here as well. I don't believe she's qualified for this year's Olympia yet. No, but she has been. Oh, no, that was for the Southern Muscle Showdown. Did that qualify for this year or next year? Somebody help me out. I can't remember if that was this year or last. That's why I pulled her up. She did win the Southern Muscle Showdown in October, which I'm pretty sure is for next year. So I think she's qualified for next year's Olympia. So she's a little bit more on the heavily muscled side. So I don't know how that's going to play next to everybody else here, specifically when we're talking about the standard being Maureen. Maureen being a little bit softer, more bubbly, that kind of thing, may not work well with Ashley, but you never know. Ashley could come in a little bit fuller too and be able to stand up next to her. So she's one to be watching too. Ashlyn is another one. Ashlyn was just at the Arnold, placed top 4 there. She is not Olympia qualified this year yet. She was 3rd at the Arnold, right? Yep, she was 3rd at the Arnold. She's got a very comparable look to Maureen. Very, very comparable look to Maureen. So I think she could potentially be one of these ones that comes in and maybe gets a top 2. If she looks a little bit better than Maureen, she may overtake Maureen. Again, if I'm betting, I'm saying Maureen's going in for the win, but Ashlyn wouldn't be far behind. She, again, is going to compare very, very well to Maureen. So, if the two of them are on point, it's just going to be a matter of who looks the best that day. Then we have Alice, which we just talked about. If she can fix her posing and some of her presentation details, she can definitely be in the top. She's not qualified for this year's Olympia yet, but she did qualify last year, and she qualified by beating Ashley Kaltwasser. So she does have the capability of getting in there if she hits everything right to come in and win this. So I don't see her particularly winning this show, but she could be in that top call out as well, fighting for those top positions, just like she did just last week against Ari. We have Lacey up next, who Lacey is qualified for this year's Olympia. Relatively new pro here, but has a phenomenal shape, teeny waistline, long, beautiful lines. This is a big show for her. So I'm curious to see how she stacks up. She's not a more heavily muscle girl. She's a little bit more on the shape side of things versus muscle, which I think she could compare pretty well to like Alice, that kind of thing. So again, depending on how everything falls, she could potentially be a first call out girl as well. And then we have Allie. I put Allie in here. She has not qualified yet for the Olympia this year, but she made first call out at the Olympia this past year. So I did bring her in here. I do think she's going to come out swinging. She's got a great shape to her physique and frame, and she always comes in with really good conditioning and all of that too. So I do see her as being a potential, first call out girl as well. She's another one to be paying attention to for sure. And then we have Jessica Wilson, who is qualified for this year's Olympia. Jessica won the Battle of the Bay just here in December, which did qualify her for this coming year. She is also Miss Masters Bikini Olympia champion. So that's it. Like she and I are 10 days apart. I'm 10 days older than her. So to see her still kicking ass in her 40s is pretty freaking phenomenal. Again, she's a smaller competitor, but can compare well to somebody like an Ashlyn or a Maureen. So she could very well be up in that top mix and see how that plays out. So these are the ones I pulled out. Now there's some other girls in here like that have placed well. I know some people are interested to see what like Holly Baxter looks like. I know some people are interested to see Jibin Park. Some people want to see Sharon Ramos. What are some other names? What are some names that I didn't pull up here that could be potential dark horses, that kind of thing? Tell me who you think could be your dark horse that could come in, maybe somebody I haven't mentioned yet, and tell me who you got winning this. Who you got? My personal pick for the win, I'm just going to go with the obvious, which is Maureen. And I've said this before, Maureen is my favorite bikini physique. So if she comes in on point, I do think it's going to be very, very hard to beat her. Some of the preview shots I've seen of her weakness in the past has been her core, as far as like definition, her core, her rib cage poking out a little bit. The photos that I've seen of her so far, it looks like she's fixed that. So if that's the case, I do think she's going to be very, very difficult to beat here. What do you guys think? I'll leave it open for a couple minutes for you guys' opinions, questions, all of that. I'll leave it open for two minutes. I know this chat is on a little bit of a delay. And while you're here, as I was saying before, follow my Stage Ready by Sean Instagram. Where is it at? Right here. And subscribe to my channel here. Once you've done that, screenshot and show me that you're subscribed and that you followed, and send those to me on my Instagram here, Stage Ready by Sean. That will enter you to win one of these Liquid Sunrays backstage pass, or backstage pass, that's mine. Backstage beauty kit. Maureen, Ashlyn, and Ari. Yeah, I think it's going to be, I think that Amy's going to be up in there. I would agree with Ashlyn and Ari, but I think Amy's going to be up in the top two. So if I was going to pick my top four, it would be Maureen, Amy, Ashlyn, and Ari. That's gonna be my locked in answer. What do you guys think? Anybody else got some predictions? Everybody's so quiet. I see y'all sitting here watching, but everybody's being so quiet. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a showdown between Amy and Maureen, and I think Ashlyn's gonna be on the outside of that, and yeah, Ari's gonna be on the outside of that too. I think that's me personally. And then we'll see from there. But I think that's your potential top 4 in my opinion. Yeah, and I was gonna say Maureen. I was gonna say Amy. Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say Maria. Maria could be in there as well. It could be like a swap between Maria and Ari. That those two could swap depending on the thing. The thing with Maria is that she's going to compare better to Maureen and to Ashlyn. But I think as far as structure and glutes and things like that, I think Amy and Ari compare better together. I know that Amy's smaller, shorter than Ari, but I think their structures compare well to each other. So that's why I say I think it's going to come down to that may be your top 5, right? So I think we're going to see Maureen and Amy, and then depending on how the girls come in, we got Ashlyn and Maria and Ari. And of course, this is all on the premise that they're going to show up in shape. Because if that's not the case, they're going to be knocked out, right? Alice for 5th. I don't know if I would put Alice in 5th. I would put her probably 6th or 7th. I could see her there. All right. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds, and we're going to log out for tonight. Now, like I said, I will be there in person. So I don't think I'm going to be allowed to live stream because they do have an official live stream there. If I'm not allowed to, I will do like a quick live from my hotel room or something like that, and kind of tell you, wrap up how it went, that kind of deal. Okay. Got a long travel day on Friday going up there, but it should be a fun weekend. So I'm looking forward to it. Please stay tuned in. And like I said, if you want to bag from Liquid Sunrays, subscribe and follow and show me that you did. That's all you got to do. And then you're entered in to win. Okay.